This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls is audio engineer Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Now, as some of the things that I have, that we always talk about on this show is how our numbers continue to increase on a daily basis. So as I've been told by some folks that listen and view on a regular basis, Jason, they're always anxious to see how the number went up from the last episode. So at the beginning of this show, 69,935 subscribers on the YouTube channel. And last week, 7 days ago, 66,644. We're continuing to increase. And maybe you ought to run us a number and see when you think we're going to hit 100,000, because we're going to hit 100,000. This show is in monumental growth right now. And I believe it's due to the fact that we are the show that can change your life if you will listen, view, and apply some of the things that we talk about. And matter of fact, we're going to end this show with a little motivational reaction video of, is he a general, Jason? General? Admiral. We're going to end this show with Admiral McRaven of all things. Now, the University of Texas 2014 graduation class. He was the keynote speaker. And yes, us Lowell Boomer Sooner fans is going to put Texas Longhorns on our networks today. But when it comes down to that, there's a lot of great things that have came out of the University of Texas and a lot of great people that I admire. And I have a lot of friends who have Texas graduates as children. But so when it comes down to what you don't like about Texas as an Oklahoma fan or a Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, on and on and on, it relates more back to sports than it does anything. And in OU and Texas case, it's all about football. So USC, UCLA, and the list goes on and on. With Georgia, Florida, there are lots of, and one of the biggest rivalries, Jason, in college is Duke, North Carolina basketball. That goes back a long ways as well. But nevertheless, we're going to listen to the commencement speech that was given at the University of Texas graduation. But like I say, 69,935, who knows? By the time we get off the show here, we may even have 70,000. Now, a couple things happened here over the last week, and it all kind of started on Tuesday night as the debate. And, you know, if you watch that debate, listen to the debate on the radio, however it was that you were able to get involved, there's a couple things that really kind of, it turns my stomach and makes me sick. And, you know, here in the great land of the United States of America, we can't even have a debate without issues going on in a 2-hour period. We can't even have a presidential debate. We can't even put two people on a stage and let them go back and forth and talk about issues. And a lot of that is to do, in my eyes, when it comes down to the media. Now, in this particular case, the media was ABC. And I've always thought that moderators were supposed to be unbiased. And all we've talked about since that debate, other than a little bit about what the two candidates said, is what happened with the network and why were they fact checking during the show, during the debate, and whether it was against either candidate. Why is a network fact checking either candidate during a debate? You're there to moderate. It's the other candidate's responsibility to know whether you're lying or telling the truth. And for some reason, these networks have gotten involved, and I just don't understand. And then from there, where do we go from there? Well, now one camp is saying that the other camp was tipped off on the questions, and and how does that happen? And then the media. The media no longer reports the news, Jason. They make the news, and they are the news, and we're going to do a show on this, and I'm not really up to date on what is actually going on, and probably nothing. That's probably why I don't know about it. But when is the federal government going to step in and put rules and regulations and laws on the networks on what they can and can't do? Now, I know they've already got stuff and you can't do this and you can't do that. But when it comes down to reporting, and like I've said on this show, we're already reporting that such and such candidate has already got so many electoral votes before the polls even close on the West Coast, let alone Hawaii or Alaska. I mean, you already have a presidential candidate being president-elect and announcing on the networks before Hawaii's polls even close. Something's wrong with that. It's always been a sticking point with me, and I identified with that a long time ago. But also during this debate, or as soon as the debate was over, there's a couple of people that kind of got involved. And one of the most popular people in the world right now, Jason, Taylor Swift, has came out and endorsed the Democratic nominee. And first of all, there's a couple things that have happened there. I understand there's been quite a few people go and register to vote because of this endorsement. And I've heard upwards of 300,000 people have, and it's probably young people who have went out and become registered voters in the last 7 days since she's made her announcement. I have also know that there are several generations out there, and the biggest generation is the generation of parents who have high school and college kids, let's just say 25 and below, that have come out in major backlash against the Taylor Swift endorsement. And it's gotten ugly, right or wrong, good or bad. It has gotten ugly on the endorsement she's given, and why even give an endorsement? And coming out and saying, you're for this, that means that my taxes are going to go up. That means I can't afford your show. And have you heard anything, Jason? Isn't there even been people having burnings of her albums and stuff?
Yeah, there's plenty of TikToks out there where people are taking her albums out to the street and burning them. So,
which is also interesting because I didn't even know there hardly were any albums anymore. I thought you downloaded music straight from
albums, posters, whatever. They're burning it off. It has anything to do with
the Taylor Swift Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Now, as she has not only had a phenomenal tour that's been going on now for quite some time, she's also, as we all know, started dating the Kansas City Chief tight end, and the Kansas City Chief tight end and she are also very good friends with the Mahomes. And I like what the Mahomes have said. They haven't said anything. They have came out and said, go vote, which is what we try to promote on this show. Go vote. If you don't go vote and you don't say your piece, then you don't have any right to say anything at a later date. So instead of promoting a candidate, they're promoting voter apathy. And that's a great way to do it as well. When we have an episode on the show, it ends up turning into other things. And another one of those episodes, just like right here with Taylor Swift, is people who use their platform for other things besides what they do. In her case, entertainer, singer, the movie star, the Robert De Niro's of the world. And it hurts me to no end the things that Robert De Niro will come out and say, because I mean, he is an iconic figure in the movie motion picture industry. He is in what's considered one of the greatest series of movies ever in Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. And I mean, he's in those shows. He in essence is the young Godfather. When Marlon Brando is the Godfather, but whenever the show goes back in time, it goes back in time to a young Godfather. It's Robert De Niro. And then obviously after Brando becomes Al Pacino, but listen to all those names of how great that show, those shows, because they had three of them, two major ones there in the early 70s. But man, why don't you just stay with what you do? Now that's easy for me to say when I'm sitting here on this show, we giving some opinions from time to time, but that is what we actually do. We don't play basketball. We don't do movies. We don't sing. I can promise you that if we go on tour, Jason, not many people are going to be showing up to listen to us sing in stadiums and auditoriums. Probably not even in the local bar.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are paying to hear Taylor Swift's opinions on political views.
That is a phenomenal point. So, I'm anxious to know, are we trying to do anything to calm down this media, or are the decision makers in Washington, D.C., that network says all the things I want them to say, so I'm not going to shut them up. Maybe it all comes back down to politics, et cetera, and right on down the line. Now, a couple of things here before we get into our reaction video here, I want you to think about this. There is major talk that goes on a regular basis about abortion, and whether when you abort a child, is it murder or is it not? Okay. Now, obviously there is a ton of opinion on that particular subject, but I want you to think about this. When a pregnant woman gets murdered, they call it a double homicide. So, if that's the case, doesn't that answer your question? Food for thought. Go ahead.
Where's that basis for where life begins? And I think that's the biggest question is if you can draw that line, where does life begin? Is it at conception? Is it at heartbeat? Those things.
Yeah. And of course we could have you could have a YouTube channel and a podcast just on that one particular subject and never run out of content to talk about. And you could have a guest on that particular subject every week.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one way or another. But that just caught me this week. When a pregnant woman is murdered, it's a double homicide. Interesting. Give that some thought when you're thinking about what you're doing. And I also saw another interesting deal because, we've been talking a lot about guns. All right. Now, obviously, we live down here in what we call the South. Most people, of course, the original 13 colonies south is going all the way down to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But what now is, in my eyes, is the South. I kind of use Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, as the central point. And to me, the South is Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana.
Yeah.
That territory. And we live in that area. But think about this. With all these guns and I've gotten on here, I think it was even last week, talking about how the guns never jump off the shelves by themselves and go down the street and do all this other stuff, and how we never get into mental health. Just this last Friday night at a Texas high school football game, the school's FFA was having a raffle, selling tickets to win guns.
Fantastic.
Now, I know that after you win the gun, when they do those things and they have raffles, they're always tied to a gun shop that has a license, and you got to go there and go through the background checks, etc. But I just found it really ironic that at a high school football game, they are raffling off gun sales.
No question where they stand on the Second Amendment.
And you got to think about this. This is inside the gates of the football stadium.
Yeah.
So they had to get permission. Well, matter of fact, it's FFA, so it's already affiliated with the school.
Yeah.
They didn't, maybe they didn't even seek permission. Oh boy. It is a crazy world out there. Okay, moving right along here. All right, back as when I started off the show. Admiral McRaven, he is a graduate of the University of Texas, and then obviously went on to serve our country and do bigger and better things. But he starts off this. He starts off here with this with the keynote speaker of this particular 2024 graduating class. And Jason, let's roll this and let's listen, and I'll stop and start as I need to.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you, President Powers, Provost Fenves, deans, members of the faculty, family and friends, and most importantly, the class of 2014. It is indeed an honor for me to be here tonight. It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before.
Hey, right off the bat, honesty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people do you know that don't want you to know about their past?
I remember I had a serious girlfriend who I later married. That's important to remember, by the way. And I remember I was getting commissioned in the Navy that day. But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was, and I certainly don't remember anything they said.
More honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really good, because you know these kids, they're adults. More than likely they're 21, 22, 23, 20,
Yeah.
20s, 20 plus years old. They're adults. They're going to remember those statements.
Yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name, but this is what he said.
It's important to know your audience.
Yeah. I don't remember what happened 37 years ago, and you're not going to either.
Yeah.
So acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this commencement speech memorable, I will at least try to make it short. So the
He should give that advice to Baptist preachers.
university's slogan is, "What starts here changes the world." Well, I've got to admit, I kind of like it. What starts here changes the world. Tonight, there are almost 8,000.
Hey, that's a great saying. What starts here changes the world. How many people do you know that have a college degree that don't use it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Students, or there are more than 8,000 students, graduated from UT. So that great paragon of analytical rigor, Ask.com, says that the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. 10,000 people, that's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, and another 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people. 800 million people. Think about it. Over twice the population of the United States. Go one more generation, and you can change the entire population of the world. 8 billion people.
With you just changing the lives of 10 people over the course of your life. All right? Unfortunately, we all change the lives of people every day. 80% of it is not good. And then they take that and they do things that are 80% not good. And it seems to me that we go more in that direction than we do in a positive direction. the one thing, phenomenal words. And from here on, it changes your life. And here's where the world starts. Phenomenal things. The one thing he didn't say is change their life in a good way. Change their life in a positive way. And this goes along with our money, motivation, and Mike, and obviously the motivational part. And him talking about getting yourself prepared and ready for life, no matter what it is you're fixing to do, and changing people's lives in a positive way. Now, maybe I think that's what exactly he was insinuating. Go out and change people's lives in a positive way. But so many of us go out and maybe not even intentional. People have good intentions that turn into bad decisions and then turns into things that don't work out in the way it's supposed to. But by you just helping change the lives of 10 people, 5 generations, and he's given 25 years per generation of how you could change the whole world with 6 generations, those are incredible numbers. So let's just listen a little bit longer.
If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, change their lives forever, you're wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A young Army officer makes a decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and the 10 soldiers with him are saved from a close-in ambush. In Kandahar province, Afghanistan.
Now, right there, how many times do they go right instead of left? And 10 people are killed. 10 people are put in a bad situation. Now, obviously, he's given a pretty worst-case scenario, which is war. But these people, our armed forces, they're trained in a phenomenal, great, different way. And they are highly educated on whether I should go left or right. They are there to make that decision. Are we doing a good enough job in helping our youth make good decisions? Do they view us in the house and in the school and in the church and whatever other organizations you're involved in? Do they view us on the ball field? Do they view us as positive role models to them? I think there's a whole lot that we take out of it in bad. And I said the ball field because if you've ever listened to this show, you know I have a major love for children, and they are our future. And I love youth sports. And typically at the youth fields is where you can see the ugliest stuff. I've been involved in it myself.
A non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses that something isn't right and directs the infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of a dozen soldiers. But if you think about it, not only were those soldiers saved by the decisions of one person, but their children were saved, and their children's children. Mm-hmm. Generations were saved by one decision, one person. But changing the world can...
There you go. Now, I look back at my own life where, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this on this show, and how this particular case came about. And as you know, Jason, I was in a tragic car accident at 3 years old. And I was the only survivor of that car, of that tragic accident, of the car crash. So now, because my life was allowed to continue and our grandmother's was not, my life was able to continue, which allowed me to have children, which allowed my children to have children, and here we go. Now, how have I influenced them in a good and bad way? How have my children and myself and their great-grandparents, how have we influenced those 8, 6, and 2-year-olds in a positive or negative way? Mm-hmm. You know, that's what he's talking about here, just in a little bit different direction.
Happen anywhere, and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it?
There you go, right there. He just said the big key question, that it can be bad too. Are you putting good and great and exceptional thoughts, actions, things in front of your people that you influence, not only your family and your friends, but everybody is looking. When they walk into our businesses, they are seeing what goes on. And the person at the front desk is a reflection of the business. The rest of the business can't be just fantastic and your front desk person be an awful person. That's going to flow throughout the office, and the customer, the client, whomever they are at the front. That's a reflection of what's going to happen when you do business at that particular establishment. You walk onto a car lot and there ain't nobody there. You're the only one out there looking at cars. And it takes them most people wouldn't even wait 30 minutes. It takes them quite some period of time for a salesperson to ever get out to you to even see what you may be there for. That's probably not a place you're going to buy a car. If it takes that long for me to get one out here, how long is it going to take for me to get this purchase done? How long is it going to take for you to give me service? How long is it going to take? How long is the car going to last? I mean, you know a whole lot about Ford and GM and Chevy and Chrysler and everything else, but you get my point. And here we are. This once again, Admiral McRaven. Jason, didn't you say? What'd you say? How long did you say this clip is?
19 minutes, 26 seconds.
19 minutes, 26 seconds. I would encourage you to. I know you can find it right here on YouTube, where you find us. So go there, watch it. It's good stuff. Watch it in its entirety. And I have not. I've only watched what we've talked about here. But saving the lives of 10 people or influencing the lives of 10 people one way or another, good, bad, or in between, it's going to be a part of your life. It is going to happen in your lifetime. And the chances are it's going to be more than 10 people. Money Motivation Mike continues to try to bring you things that are important and encouraging, uplifting, informational. All these things we try to do to you on a weekly basis. And of course, Jason plays a lot of part of that, and he goes out and finds these reaction videos. This one today was very, very good, but we continue to try to help you, and we try to continue to change the world too. And obviously we're doing it more than 10 people, good or bad. As we said, I don't know where we are right now, but when this show started, we were only 65 people away from 70,000. And so we continue to eke up them numbers, and maybe we need to take another look here at where we are around the presence of the world, sir. We'll look at that in the future. You have a number?
69,956. So 44 more to 70,000.
So just as we've been here on the air, another you said 56?
Mm-hmm.
Another 21 subscribers in the last 30 minutes. You can always contact us at info@mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which Jason puts out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. So for everyone who's been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.